r/AskReddit. What was the dumbest rule your school enforced? In grade 8, we were banned from standing in circles at recess because of potential scandalous activity going on in the middle. We stood in squares instead. Be there and be square. For a while in my school, groups of kids would stand in circles shouting fight, 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 until a teacher came to break up the non-existent fight. God, we were a-holes. I wish my students would do imaginative and actually kinda funny stuff like this, rather than the incomprehensibly childish and boring regular kid stuff that's as tedious to solve as it's embarrassing to all involved. Edit. If one of you guys is responsible for the fake fire alarm today, that's not what I meant equals. We couldn't wear winter clothing, jackets, hats, gloves in class because they were gang symbols. This was a small farm town in Wisconsin. Besides obviously having no gangs, it was ducking cold, even indoors, in the winter, but clearly wearing warm clothing is something only gangs do. Mitten Clan ain't nothing to duck with. Also small town Wisconsin, we weren't able to wear jackets or anything like that in class either for literally the same reason. One kid came into class wearing snow boots and the teacher told him to put them back in his locker. So he came back with his farm boots that smelled like straight manure. You knew where he was for the rest of the day. Why was this such a Wisconsin thing? I still remember in middle school, when we laughed about how there were no gangs in school, the teacher said in high school there will be a lot of gangs. I believed them and was legit scared. I'm a cheerleader, and for school spirit week I wore the uniform they gave me. I got dress coded. That is the ultimate high school moment. Ultimate life moment TBH. They banned wristwatches. No one knows what the reason was. It's a gateway clock. Before you know it, people will start bringing pocket watches, then wall clocks, then grandfather clocks, and before you know it some kid walks in with Big Ben. Then what do? Our school banned hugging because it was erotic. As you can imagine, the boys at school started giving each other very sensual high fives for the rest of the year. I picture them moaning loudly while their hands were slowly gliding against the other for several seconds. Can't wear two men matching shirts because you could be a gang. This was in regards to a kid with cancer wanting to make a bunch of shirts. My high school was in Butt Duck, Nebraska. American schools seem to be obsessed with the idea of gangs. No backpacks to class, but purses were allowed. Girls started carrying around purses big enough to be considered a backpack. Guys got pissed, started carrying purses too. Middle school had banned salt and pepper from being used in the cafeteria. Claimed it was too unhealthy. Still sold Mountain Dew in the vending machines. School I used to teach at had similar rules. Some bullshit about federal nutrition standards or something. We'd just keep them in the teacher's lounge along with hot sauces and chamoy and a few other condiments and leave them on our desks. In my freshman year of high school we had a terrible vandalism problem. The bathrooms would be broken in various ways almost constantly. In a stroke of pure genius, the staff decided that any bathroom that was vandalized would be closed for the week on first offense, to the quarter for second, and permanently on the third offense. They took back the rule after closing every bathroom on day 1. Holy shit, recently at my high school someone stole a ducking urinal. I have no clue how someone manages to do that. That takes some Ocean's 11 level planning right there. In 6th grade they switched out all student chairs for large rubber stability balls. There was a strict no bouncing rule. It was a disaster. Edit. This was in Arizona in the late 90s for those asking. The idea was to promote better posture. This wouldn't work with any age group, let alone 6th graders. Prom was a mandatory lockdown for the night in order to avoid students going to parties after prom. Prom was held at various house parties across town instead. I hated when schools shove their noses into everyone else's business. Shoes are to be worn as the manufacturer intended. I have no clue who was wearing their shoes incorrectly, or how, but this line, verbatim, was repeated to us over the morning announcements when there were perceived infractions at various points throughout the year. Maybe people were drawing on their shoes? I did that. And I feel like that's the point of having cons. They decided everything bad happened in the last 5 minutes of lunch, so it got 5 minutes shorter each year. Any group more than 5 had to be up to no good, so no groups over 5. Edit. This was not some big city public school for troubled kids. It was a tiny Catholic school in a tiny farming town. The worst offense, by a student. Of the whole time I was there was some kid walking across the street to get a soda from a store. If you were involved in a fight, you got suspended. While it sounds reasonable, context didn't matter. I got suspended once not for throwing a single punch, kick, whatever. I got suspended because someone knocked the books out of my hand and when I reached down to grab them they punched me in the face. I got suspended for walking down the hallway and unprovoked getting punched in the face. Duck Brandon Valley Middle School. My buddy got suspended for something similar. His Marine Corps MP mother told him in no uncertain terms that if anyone tried that shit again, earn that suspension. Ducking surprise surprise. The dude tried that again and he went ham on that kid. Busted nose, torn ear, black and blue for weeks. The fallout was exactly the same as not fighting back at all except my buddy got a pat on the back from his mom and a new video game. Tell you what, no one tried that with him again. If it wasn't zero tolerance then it wouldn't be a problem. Someone gives you some physical trouble and they get punished. Easy peasy. They've got cameras everywhere. Surely it would be pretty easy to see.